Let's talk Minnesota Twins baseball. Whoosh. Okay, I found the hat. That's good. Now let's talk about Minnesota Twins baseball. So here we go. I'm going to be talking about Jason Castro today. I know that some of you guys have commented down below and wanted me to talk about this for a little while, so we are going to do that today. Basically, I don't want him on the team. I've said that in previous videos. I know a lot of people are kind of with me on that. They don't see value in him anymore. I mean, at least I don't. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments for sure, but I don't see value in him on either side of the ball. I don't see value in him money-wise. I don't like this guy as a player, and I want him gone. So let's just jump into this right away. I mean, we are paying him $8 million, or at least we did last year. Hold on. Let me scroll down here on my little chart here. In 2018, we paid him $8 million. 2017, we paid him $8.5 million. That's too much money for this guy. I don't know when his contract is up. I guess I should have looked that up maybe, but it doesn't matter. He's playing. He's on the roster this year, and I want him gone. So he's 31 years old. He can't hit, and his defense is good, right? This is the problem I have, and I want to know if you guys maybe have the same problem. When I look at a catcher, I obviously want somebody who can play defense and offense. But I value offense more, at least from a catcher position. I mean, maybe like center field, outfield, I guess in general. You'd want maybe third base in particular too. You want a really good defensive man. Maybe hitting is okay, but I want to work on the defensive side. That's Buxton, right? That's why we kept him out there for so long. Sano, I mean, that's why we kept him in the majors for a while. Because he's a good third baseman, a good outfielder. We kept him. That's why we're keeping Castro, right? Is because he's a great defender. But that's not where I value my catcher position at. I don't want him a great defender. I would rather have him be a power hitter, right? So I want to compare Jason Castro to somebody like Joe Mauer and Gary Sanchez, right? So Joe Mauer is one of the greatest players at catcher, right? I mean, in recent history, probably the greatest. He batted like .364, was the Triple Crown winner. Every offensive title he could get, he got. And then he was also great on defense. Gold Glove winner, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, everything, every award that you could think of, he got it. He was a fantastic catcher on this side of the ball and on this side of the ball. Now let's look at Gary Sanchez. Gary Sanchez is one of the worst defensive players at the catcher position in the majors. Like, statistically, he is one of the worst. He is the most pass balls, the most, like, I don't know what the whole thing is, but I know he's literally one of the worst statistical catchers in the game. Now let's look at Jason Castro. He is not one of the best, but he's up there with some of the best defensive catchers. That's his job. He can't hit. Gary Sanchez can hit, but he can't field. Who wins more games? The Yankees. Now, granted, they have a whole nother team, but who produces more out of those two? The offensive player. That's what I want to see out of this position, not somebody who can play defense. Because how many games did the Yankees lose last year because of Sanchez, right? Sanchez is a good player. He's in the major leagues for a reason. He can catch, but he can hit really well. Now, you take that and flip it to Castro. Castro's in the major leagues. Obviously, he can hit well, but his defense is better. However, you're not going to win games, more games than not, by catching a ball behind the plate rather than knocking in a couple runs. That makes sense? I think it does. So that's what I'm saying is I want an offensive player behind the plate. Castro is not cutting it. So, I mean, and his stats don't lie either. I mean, if we look at Castro, last year he was hurt or something happened. I think he was hurt. I didn't care because I didn't want him on the team, but he played in 19 games, had 74 at-bats, or plate appearances, 63 at-bats, 4 runs, 9 hits. 9 hits, guys. 3 doubles, no triples, 1 home run, 3 RBIs, 9 walks, 26 strikeouts. He batted .143 which I think is the worst on the team, but granted, he only played in 19 games. And his OBP was 257. I mean, even going back a year before, it was the best season he's had since 2013 when he was an All-Star. He had 110 games played, 49 runs, 86 hits, 22 doubles, 10 home runs, 47 RBIs, 45 walks, 108 strikeouts, 242 average, 333 on base percentage. I mean, that's not bad. That's the kind of guy I want to see, and maybe a little bit better consistently every year. Castro does not consistently do that. You go back the previous 3 years, didn't bat over 220, had an on-base percentage of about 280. I mean, still only had 11 home runs, not even 100 hits. I mean, this is a guy who really struggled coming out of his great seasons in Houston and just didn't do much in Minnesota. Now, that's fine, right? I mean, like I said, Minnesota's using him as a defensive catcher. They're not using him as an at-bat, or at-bat. Like, that's why he bats 8 or 9 every time, so he doesn't have to get that many at-bats. He can just literally knock a guy in if he needs to. That's what I'm saying. But now let's flip the script here. We trade him, not even for a player like Gary Sanchez, because we have a couple guys that we could bring up. We have, like, and that's another reason why we should trade him. I'll just put that out there. We have 2 good backup catchers, and one of them can start. Like, there's your solution right there, and we don't have to pay them that much. But we bring in a guy like Gary Sanchez. Again, you may be one of the worst defenders in the entire Major League, but you're still in the Major Leagues as a catcher. The difference between a good Major League catcher and a great Major League catcher and a sucky Major League catcher is about this much, right? You're awful, but you're still in the majors. You're still doing fine. You're good, but you're not great, and then obviously you're like Joe Mauer, right? You're one of the best in the league. What do? You bat. That's the thing. That's where you have to make it up, right? Is you can bat well or defend well. They all kind of mix together defensively. It's the bat that knocks it up. So, my alternative is trade him. I mean, we need a good pitcher. I'm not saying we could get somebody great for him, but we trade him, get somebody good, somebody decent that we can just use as a 5th starter if Martin Perez just wants to go to the bullpen, or we can use him as maybe a long reliever coming right out of the bullpen. I don't have any ideas, but maybe that's what you guys can let me know down in the comments. But that's what I'm saying. We trade him for a pitcher, which we need, and that works. And then we have 2 catchers on the bench. I've talked about this a little bit before. Mitch Garver and Williams Astudillo are 2 really good backups. And we only need 2 backups. I mean, it's probably good to have 3 catchers, but when they're all just kind of average, there's no point in having 3 catchers, right? They're all almost the same. I mean, if you have Garver start and Astudillo back him up, yes, he can play other places, and if he needs to come into catcher, that's fine. Or you can just put somebody else out there. I mean, the Twins usually have a guy who can play catcher, right? Astudillo is that guy. I mean, he can play catcher. He can play a lot of other positions. I mean, we could probably even put Gonzalez back there at this point, right? Because he can play everywhere. So that's what I'm saying. We don't need like 3 designated catchers. Let's go over the stats very, very quickly for Garver. Let's talk about Garver first. I don't know if Garver will be the starter, but it makes a lot of sense for him. I like him. He did well last year. In his 2 years that he has played in Minnesota, he's played 125 games, 350 at-bats, 43 runs, 90 hits, 20 doubles, 5 triples, 7 home runs, 48 RBIs, 35 walks, 87 strikeouts, 259 average, 329 on-base percentage. And, I mean, most of those numbers are from last year. He had a good season last year, and that's great. Like, that is what I want to see out of a catcher. That is 260-plus average, not 250. And on-base percentage of above 333, that's something Castro's not doing. So, boom, already a plus there. I like him. Astudillo, same thing. Played 1 year. Didn't play that many games. Played 29, but he was hammering it at the end of the season. He had 93 at-bats, 9 runs, 33 hits, 4 doubles, a triple, 3 home runs, 21 RBIs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 355 average, and a 371 on-base percentage. Those are good numbers. I mean, granted, he only played in 29 games, but those are good numbers. I like that. those two guys can play catcher. Castro can't. Or at least Castro is, like I said, a defensive catcher. These guys are offensive guys who can catch. Castro is a defensive catcher who can't hit. That is why we need to trade Castro for one of those two guys. One of those two guys can take his spot. They are 100% capable. We can get a good pitcher for cheap or cheaper and not having to pay Castro to sit on the bench. That is my take on it, though. Like I said, we do have two very reasonable catchers that can step up. And if we want to put somebody back there, if we really need to, we can go trade for somebody or put Gonzalez back there. I don't know. Something. We could figure out something. We just don't need three catchers on the roster, especially when two of them are going to be sitting on the bench every day. We could figure something out. Come on, guys. But that's my take on it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching. Leave me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Let me know if that made sense. And that's all I got for you today. Make sure to come back tomorrow for more, and we'll see you then. Peace out.